Hello guys, welcome to another weekly breakdown video. Today I'll be breaking down the third week of December, which I've backtested yesterday. I am making the video today because it was very late in the night. So, and I have also acquired finally a good sleeping schedule. So now we can clearly see the market was making a lower highs, lower lows, lower highs on the weekly, and on the weekly time frame it is now kind of rejecting from this supply, but it also, the bulls are more stronger, as we can see in this candle. We can read how we can read candlesticks. So yeah, and also in the call out I've written, whenever there is a huge impulsive move in your bias, don't trade yet, because that might be an early inducement, like in this trade. Okay, I guess I figured out something there. So now, comparing the bias to the DXY, the market was making higher highs, higher lows, and it is showing me 2 weeks were clearly bullish. Now the next week is bearish, which was an CPI week, very high impact news week this was, and now we can anticipate the next week to continue with this week and continue heading towards the downside. And this is our draw of liquidity on the weekly. As you know, on the weekly I mark the zones, fair value gaps, targets, and this, what if that zone is valid or not. So on the weekly I was looking for something like that, and also there was a weekly fair value gap here, which is not, the market is not showing any intentions to go and fill up that, but right now it's looking like it's going to target that draw of liquidity upcoming week, right? So now what I will do, look for buys, and the weekly here, the weekly breakdown finishes. Whereas now if I go to the daily on GU, on the daily time frame, we can clearly see the market, I start to see market structure from daily. It is making higher highs and higher lows, break of structure, a new break of structure. There is a demand, this demand zone caused this break of structure, you can argue, and there was also a daily fair value gap to fill. And by looking at this, it clearly looks like it wanna go and fill up this fair value gap at least on Monday. So my bias for Monday was clearly bearish. My overall weekly bias would have been bullish, but obviously on Monday I would look for sells to fill up that fair value gap on the daily. And the same sort of thing on DXY. On DXY there was a supply zone here, there was a fair value gap, and we will anticipate this fair value gap to get filled on Monday. Anticipate, not sure yet, yeah, because nobody can say what will happen in the markets. And now we go to see for news, if there's any news on Monday. There was no news on Monday, as you can see. Monday there was no news, so it was also aligning with our news. That is when I go to the H4 to look for market structure. The market structure is clearly bullish, no meaning looking for sells on H4 time frame. Whereas on the H1, the market is making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, accumulation, manipulation, and distribution, lower highs, lower lows. The change of character happened somewhere around didn't happen yet, yeah, even the hourly didn't change character yet. So now I go to the M30 to look for something. On the M30 now we get a change of character finally around here, so that would be my supply zone to trade from. And I will not show you the lower time frames in the DXY because it will be a very big video. So I was looking for trading this sort of supply zone on the hourly, I guess. No, what I was looking for on Monday I was not looking for any trades. There was a fair value gap to fill, yeah, there was a fair value gap to fill, everything was there. I should have traded Monday, to be honest. This was a very good trade on Monday, which I have not back tested because my bias was not clear. So just watch what I've done on Monday, as I have not back tested this. Clearly we can see there was an M15 supply zone, Asian high. We need the Asian high liquidity to sweep M15 supply, order block mitigation, and the rejection candlestick. What the fuck here, 1:15 p.m. we got the entry somewhere around here, and after entering here it was a bearish engulfing candlestick. The trade did play out to our favor, beautiful trade, got a 1:4 risk to reward if holded. And this shows that even if the weekly bias is not yet clear, if the daily is clean, it is showing that it can go and fill up the fair value gap, we can still take the trade on the daily bias. So going on Monday, my bias was bearish, took the trade, won the trade on Monday. which was our first win, by the way, in December, because there is no volume. Whereas now it has filled up the fair value gap. Yeah, it has filled up the daily fair value gap on GBP USD, but it is not showing any signs of reversal. If it was a rejection candlestick, I needed a wick, which is not a wick, so I will anticipate the Tuesday to continue heading towards the downside. Whereas on DXY, it also makes sense to go and fill up this fair value gap. But on Monday, the DXY was not clean enough. As you can see, no momentum, no volume, and also this is showing bearish momentum. So now we go to the Tuesday looking for sells. Still now the 4 hourly has not changed character, but the hourly has now changed character to the downside somewhere around here. So this was the supply I was looking to trade from, exactly this one right here, which would be my supply, but this was very close to the price. That's why I've marked another supply here for any instance. And on Tuesday there was CPI news. Sorry, Tuesday there was no news, so also an high probability because of the news. And let's see what happens on Tuesday. So on Tuesday I was looking for sells from this sort of supply, which was already mitigated by the Asian range, so it was a low probability zone. Whereas on M30, if I go, there was a supply zone here which could have been respected. Let's see. So I was looking for trades from this sort of H1 supply, right, as I've marked that. I have not taken that trade because there was no, look, me marking the zones is irrelevant until unless the price shows rejection, right? The price didn't show any interest of rejecting from this zone, so I didn't took the trade. Simple. I avoided a loss, and literally the market skyrocketed to the upside. So now going on Wednesday, my bias may change. As you can see, we adapt to the market, we don't predict the market, which is the best thing you can do in the markets. Whereas now looking on daily, my bias was bullish. Yeah, my bias was bullish. Now it has aligned. The daily bias has now aligned after making a higher low, filling up this fair value gap. Everything is making sense. And on Tuesday, it is now continuing heading towards the upside, aligning with the weekly bias being bullish. It is also a bullish engulfing candlestick. Now we can go on, but on Wednesday, the main problem was GBP CPI news. So we don't trade CPI, as you guys know. As you guys know by now, I don't trade CPIs. I don't like to trade CPIs because of high market manipulation. So, and also if I compare it to DXY was bearish. So if I was looking for something, it would be sells and buys on GBP USD. Now I start to look for some demand zones on the 4 hourly. The 4 hourly was still bullish. This was the demand zone which was respected. Higher lows, higher highs. The market came all the way down here. This fair value gap, daily fair value gap, was aligning with this 4 hour demand, which was a very strong zone to trade from. As I've also told, higher time frames demand, some fair value gaps with lower time frames order blocks are high probability zones to trade. So should have noticed this, but due to this was backtesting the live markets, if this happens, we'll try to notice, and obviously we'll notice it. Now going on the hourly, the demand zone I was looking for was this one, but also we have to look the market structure, and also we have to perceive how the Asian range closes. If the Asian range did something like this demand zone is irrelevant, and if the Asian range did something like this, then it's relevant. So now waiting for the Asian range to close as always, and obviously I will not trade because of CPI. Look at this. This is the reason why I don't like to trade CPI. The trend was bullish, everything was bullish, everything did make sense. This should have been a high probability day to trade, but due to CPI news, everything was choppy. Then literally the market changed character, you can say. It literally shifted towards its bias towards the downside. So now going on Thursday, let's see what my bias is. Wednesday I didn't took the trade. Hope you guys got it, because everything was there, the demand was there, but it was not respected. As you can see, the only move we could have caught was after sweeping this demand liquidity, and after this rejection somewhere around here, could have taken somewhere around here with a 10 pip stop loss maybe. No, it was a very low probability day, as you can see, because of CPI news. If there is CPI news, don't trade. The best thing you can do is not trade. So now going on Wednesday, now bias is still now again bearish. As you can see, it is a bearish engulfing candlestick. If I am looking for something, it would be sells, or it will also be nice to not trade, because obviously the trend is not yet, the trend is not trending. It's literally choppy. It's making up down. That's called choppy market. And Also, it is called the ranging markets. Now, if I was looking for something on Thursday, it would be sales. And if I show you the news on Thursday, there was GDP and unemployment claims. We could trade because there is no London session news. But yeah, on 4 hourly, the market is still bullish. Again, it has mitigated the demand and again respected the demand zone, as you can see. Now, going on Thursday, if I was looking to trade something, it would be this supply somewhere around here. According to the Asian range, obviously Asian range closed something like that, so the closest supply was this one, and also this supply zone created a market structure shift fair value gap, so it was a strong supply zone. But I guess I didn't took the trade, did I? Let's see. The trend was not that strong enough. It was a continuation model, as you can see. It is a fair value gap right around here. Oh, I've marked it. It is a fair value gap trade, which was a winner on Thursday. So this week we caught 2 winning trades, one on Monday, one on Thursday. So it was a profitable week. And also, due to news, our bias literally shifted from bullish, bearish. If you can adapt to the market, you can catch trades like this. As you can see, it was a winning trade. And obviously, fair value gap trades we trade after a rejection candlestick from the fair value gap on M15. As you can see, perfection. Everything was there. Asian high liquidity didn't got swept, because it's a continuation model, obviously. So now going on Friday, let's see if I was looking for something. So now going on Friday, my bias was again bullish. Look at this, how bias changes, your daily bias changes. Monday was bearish, Tuesday was bullish, Wednesday was bullish again, Thursday was bearish. Now Friday, if I was looking for something, it would be buys. And looking at DXY now, clearly on Friday I was looking for sales, because how this DXY candle closed. DXY was a decision candlestick, as you can see, and it wants to continue downside. It's showing like it wants to continue to the downside. So now going on lower time frames on GU, clearly I was looking for demand zones to trade from. This demand zone was respected 2 times, so now this demand zone is weak, and it's also making a head and shoulders pattern right here, which we don't anticipate. But yeah, on the hourly, the market structure shifted here. This was the demand. I can clearly spot the demand right here. So okay, let's wait for Friday to close. Friday's Asian range closed something like this, and the closest demand that I could see was this one. This was not a strong demand because this didn't cause any market structure shift. There was no fair value gap, and also the bias was not clear, so it was a very low probability zone to trade from. And also it was a Friday, and look at the market structure, bro. Literally there's no volume in the markets. Literally the market is choppy, making ranging in a zone. So now the Asian range, Asian low did got swept. No, it didn't got swept. As you can see, the Asian high did got swept directly. And also, let me check the news. On Friday there was retail sales. Oh yeah, Friday was a no trade day because there was GBP news. Whenever there's GBP news are rare, but also very effective. You can see here the target would have been my previous day high right here, the Asian lows liquidity sweep, structural liquidity sweep, and then I was looking for something like this, but it didn't happen. So, and the market started chopping around here. It would have been a winner trade, but it was not, so it is what it is. So now going on the daily time frame, let me show you what happened throughout the week. Monday went down, Tuesday went up, Wednesday went down again, Thursday went up. What the hell? Now this is called a pure choppy market. You can't do anything in those kind of conditions, bro. The best thing is don't trade, to be honest. But if you are trading, always trade with the daily bias. And yeah, and if I show you the weekly, how the weekly closed for next week, which I will start on Monday again, backtesting. The draw of liquidity was taken to the T. The market closed as a bearish candle. So even next week I will look for sells on DXY and buys on GU. I know that the volume is gonna be very low, but even though, just because the volume is low doesn't mean that we'll not trade, right? We have to learn. The weekly closed very very choppy. So the weekly bias is not clear on GU. Again, whenever there is a huge impulsive move in your bias, don't trade yet, because that might be an early inducement in this, like in this trade. Yes, inducement happens, and if you can avoid inducement, you are highering the probabilities of your success in trading. Now this here is a condition where the daily bias is not clear. Obviously the daily bias was not clear, and we don't know if it will go and fill up the fair value gap or continue to the downside with the weekly bias. So also that is the reason I didn't took the trade on Monday and didn't backtested that. Otherwise I would have backtested it So this was the weekly breakdown video. I hope you guys got something to learn. Yeah.